All right, let's call the Board of Directors meeting for May 14th, 2025 to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Denise, can we get a roll call, please?
Director Lohmeyer. Director Johnston.
Here.
Director Walper.
Here.
Director Martinez. Director Berman.
Here.
Vice Chair Rydell.
Here.
And Chair Wheeler. We have a quorum.
All right. So thank you, those of you that are here, especially up here. It's May break, so our teachers are out having some fun, and some of our families and board members are as well. So glad we've got enough people to be here. So Denise, was the agenda properly notified?
Yes, it was.
Perfect, thank you. And then if I could get a motion to approve or amend the agenda.
Vice Chair Rydell, I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
All right. On to Board of Directors reports, and we'll start with Director Walper.
Yeah, I would like to thank Superintendent Ryan for taking me down to Deep Creek Learning Academy. I'm going to tell you guys, some guys and gals, something right now. If you haven't been there, you need to go there. It is phenomenal. And I don't think anybody's been there but me. But it is really phenomenal. Eliza Gardner and Mark Montoya, they've got a really, really good program there. But I want to warn you that when you walk in the door, there's 2 pool tables in there. Yeah, and Ryan grabbed me and he says, calm down. And it was very interesting. These kids get so excited and they're learning science, they're learning math on a pool table. And I didn't believe it at first, but it really catches their attention.
Yes, it does.
You know, and it's an awesome thing to see. So I would encourage each and every one of you to get the opportunity to go down there and see what they're doing. It's amazing. That's all I have.
Director Berman.
Sure. It's been a busy month, and next month's going to be busy too around here. I'm looking forward to graduation. A lot of calendar invites already going for that. I've got a senior in the house, so it's firing up and getting busy. I hit the FFA plant sale the other day. Never knew it was there, but it's outpacing all my plants I got from True Value or Ace, whatever you call it. So FFA is doing a good job. I got invited to do season 1, episode 1 of a new podcast series going on in the district. It was fun. Hopefully it gave some good information out to people about how we work financially, but it was a lot of fun, and I think it's a good outlet to get more information out. So thanks for the invite. It was a good time.
That was really fun.
Track and field had a senior night, the first time I've ever seen that here in Estacada. That was pulled off pretty nicely. Track meets can be pretty long, but they tucked it in before it got really long. So there were actually a lot of kids. There were probably 15, 16 seniors going out on the track team. So that was a good time. And then I got invited down to the splash pad ribbon cutting. I think that was last weekend. Mm-hmm. There's actually a decent amount of people showed up, but it was a really great indicator or reflection of how much growth we're getting, because almost all the folks were coming from this new developed area. And I'm glad we're able to have some more parks in this town that aren't created by us.
Amen.
So, but it's getting some great use. It was a good time. Other than that, that's everything. I'm looking forward to graduation, especially the campus always kind of comes alive. It looks great. I know it's a lot of work for your staff and crew here, but always appreciate it. So
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Director Berman. Director Johnston?
I don't have any like events, but I did want to just give a couple thanks to all the staff. I've received ongoing communication from progress reports. It seems like they're going out every 2 weeks now for our middle school, which I think is amazing. I do hear conversations from my middle schoolers at home now that are saying, you know, the importance of their standards and being at a 3, and so it's great. It's great that they're learning that now. Same thing with the high school. The communication's been great from the teachers. If I send any messages, they're responded fairly promptly. And I hope that all the teachers and staff are enjoying their time off. That's all I wanted to share.
Great, thank you. I've got a relatively long list, so I'll skip the graduation, but looking forward to it because it's always awesome. So a big season for Estacada High School Performing Arts, especially over the last month and a half. It's a really busy time. And if you happen to have a kid that does that and plays spring sport, it's a lot. Anyhow, so state choir placed fourth, or the choir placed fourth at state last Friday. Jazz band placed fourth at state last Saturday. We had the state solo competition a couple weeks ago, and we had 5 students qualify in 6 categories. So for mezzo-soprano voice, we had a student that placed 14th, alto voice 13th, baritone voice 3rd, bass voice 9th, and mallets 10th. So a really big day for Estacada there. We also had 6 students qualify for the international competition for theater arts. And a big shout out to the district for helping to make that happen, because it's an expense that comes with that and an amazing opportunity. Spring Fling, I don't have the dates for, sorry. I kind of dropped the ball on that, but it's coming soon. And then, yeah, I guess that's really, I would just, with all of that, again, a shout out to the Performing Arts Department. The time and effort that they put into making our programs. You know, we consistently, punch out of our league when it comes to the performing arts, and that doesn't happen without incredibly committed teachers and support staff that make that happen. And that's all I got. Did I miss anybody?
One last thing, please vote.
Yes.
It's voting season.
Oh, yes.
It's May elections. Don't care how you vote, but we should all be voting.
Yep.
Good thing to practice, especially when bonds come around.
Perfect. Oh, I'm gonna take it back too. I did have one more. We have an art student, who is having art displayed in Washington DC right now. So not only performing, but visual arts as well. So, all right, I think we're really done this time. All right, thank you everybody for your reports. Next up is the district reports. First on that list is communications, Maggie and Danny. Come on down.
Good evening and happy May break. May in communications has been a fun time. Some of the projects that we're working on right now is we're working to get out another one of our quarterly mailers before the end of the school year, right before graduation time. We had our winter quarterly mailer, and now we're doing our spring quarterly mailer, so we're wrapping that up. We're also working on preparation for graduation and just all of the end of the year celebrations, from grad walk to 8th grade promotion. I just want to shout out Josh, who does a great job with the live streaming and the production of those events, as well as our translators and interpreters who work hard to make sure it's accessible for all of our families. And it's a fun thing to coordinate. We always love helping put those events on every year. We also are working on our results rollout presentation, which, as a refresher, we do our Studer surveys twice a year, and then once a year we do the results rollout, where we present where our survey data came in and what action steps we're committed to in the future. You'll hear from each department in the district as well as each building in the district. And we are filming those now and hoping to get that out before the end of the year as well, so our community can continue to hold us accountable to what we promised to do. I also, on that note, want to celebrate in our parent experience survey, when we got the results in, We had taken a dip in the fall. We were down to a 3.8, and we're back up in 4 territory with a 4.01. So it's great to see that some of the actions that our schools are doing a great job of committing to are really paying off, and families are seeing the difference. And then just a lot of summer projects that we're already have our eye on. A big one is the calendar, just making sure the calendar is out for the upcoming year and just prepping for next school year already. Some things that we've recently completed, as I mentioned, survey season, the start of a growth and capacity conversation. This will be something that we continue over the whole next school year. But Jennifer Berman will present more later about the conversations that we had in the community and the stats and data on the exposure that we had. But it was really important to us to give our community the opportunity to learn more about our plans and voice their input. So that was a great project to work on. And then, as Director Berman mentioned, we launched our first podcast episode. We had several hundred people listen to it, whether it was on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. So that was great. And our average viewing time, people were getting quite a long ways into the podcast. So we were able to retain people's attention and get a broader audience. So it was great to launch that podcast, and we're looking forward to continuing the series.
So a lot of community engagement opportunities coming up, as we already mentioned. It's a busy time of year. We had a successful kindergarten connection event along with other community events where we've had an opportunity to reintroduce ourselves to folks that maybe have had a little break within our district or are brand new. It's been a great opportunity to discuss concerns that people are seeing or new changes that are maybe upcoming. So we've had a lot of conversations with these families and being able to assure them that we are going to openly communicate all changes and be able to be very proactive with any concerns that they may have. End of the school year traditions and celebrations. So us with graduation comes a lot of fun things. So we really want to encourage our community members to join us for our grad walk and our graduation fireworks, and making sure to come out and celebrate this graduating class. It's always a fun time. Dates and times and all of that will be posted on social media, so keep an eye out. The grad walk will be on June 12th. And the upcoming spring fling is June 6th and 7th. So another great opportunity to come celebrate these kids that have been working so hard. And then our summer event planning is mostly our Park Series events. So we're in the early stages of our 3rd annual Park Series events. We're gonna narrow it down to 3 different local parks, but we're going to expand the actual event itself. So we're going to be inviting the library so they can bring their little mobile bookmobile, and better raffle prizes, better events, hopefully more attendance and more opportunity for them to meet staff and community members. And we're just excited to roll out our summer fun.
Yeah, this is our 3rd year, and we've seen a lot of success and positivity around it so far. It's just a good connection point before the start of the school year, and we're looking forward to hosting that again. And we will, of course, invite our school board members. They're in different areas throughout the community, so if it's in your zone, or not, but especially if it's in your zone, we'd love to have you drop by.
And those dates and times are tentative, as we're just making sure we're not overlapping with anything really big in the community, but that will be posted everywhere. You'll see it, and then also in our upcoming edition of Inside Estacada Schools.
Any questions?
I have one question. It's not really a question, it's maybe a request. I don't remember the ASL teacher's name, but my daughter loves the class. And I was thinking that maybe we do a lot of video now. Maybe there's an option to have that person practice, or kids practice doing sign to what actually is happening in those videos. It was just a thought, because for they've learned a lot in the first year that they've been doing it. So I was really impressed with what she's able to do. I have no idea what she's talking about. However, she does, so that's great. Anyway, it might be kind of a neat feature that we put in one of them.
That's a fantastic idea. Yeah, making our content more accessible and spotlighting our kids. I love that. Thank you. I'll look more into that. I appreciate that.
Jordan Collins.
Jordan Collins is
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
All right, any other
Thank you.
questions, comments? All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
And next up is the operations report, and we get Lori Dyson this evening. Come on down.
All right, well, at least it's beautiful outside. We're inside, but, okay. I'm not very used to this, so bear with me. See? Okay. Let's see. Technology updates. There was a new camera put in the Estacada High School cafeteria, enhancing security and monitoring of the lunch flow and everything else in there. There was a Chromebook donation of 547 Chromebooks.
Wow.
I know, amazing. Remote print drivers, successfully deployed print drivers remotely, saving time for both tech staff and users. Barriers, check-in applications in the buildings for guests. The current application is cumbersome, and the technology team is working with building secretaries to find a more efficient system. Let's see, communication on buses. The remote areas lack reliable communication methods. Next steps, satellite phones. They're looking into purchasing and deploying satellite phones for buses in the remote areas, and they're also going to have an SOS feature. Maintenance update, let's see, seismic update. The seismic upgrade is on schedule with final abatement beginning during the May break. Facility projects, paint colors, thank you. Paint colors for upcoming phases have been selected. Boiler inspections, all boiler inspections passed successfully. HVAC servicing, the maintenance team has started servicing HVAC systems for the summer. New shot put pad, they put a practice pad out. Fence line has been cleared. The fence line on the Estacada School District and Campanella has been fully cleared. And incoming 250 chairs for incoming students from Salem School District are expected. Actually, think they may have arrived today. I think I heard that on the radio this morning. Transportation update. They took delivery of a new 20-passenger Bluebird Vision bus equipped with air conditioning and wheelchair lift. New two-way radios are being installed in buses. Safety video, they produced, in my opinion, an amazing safety video if you haven't seen it. With they collaborated with communications as part of a PDSA cycle. I do suggest you watch that if you haven't had a chance. Recent data since April 9th, 2025, drivers have traveled 44,653 miles and completed 86 student trips.
Crazy.
I remembered at that time. Okay, so this is where my heart and soul is. I appreciate all the other operations, but nutrition is my thing. We did have our first ODE administrative review since 2021 during COVID. That has been completed. We're currently waiting for our exit email from the state for that. Let's see, our CEP application. There's progress been made. That is a community eligibility provision that gives free meals for all students. We're working on all of that for the 2025-26 school year. I'll be collaborating with student services to gather the required documentation to support the application as far as eligibility numbers and things like that. The summer food program, the plan has been approved by the state, so we're ready to get rocking on that. I have a lot of signage to make and advertising for our families. We'll have the 3 sites again this year. It's Estacada High School cafeteria. There's gonna be breakfast and lunch served in the cafeteria. Wade Creek Park / skate park, splash pad, everything else, will be serving lunch there. They can eat that on site, and then there will be a grab-and-go station for children at the little parking lot across from the fire station. So those are the plans there. And then we also receive farm-to-school grant funds. Those funds have to be used on items procured, grown, processed in the state of Oregon. We have looked into Captain Blueberry here in Eagle Creek, just like past years. We've procured a whole 30 cases of blueberries just recently. And then I did find a co-op. It's a Gorge Farmer Collective, and we've purchased 35 cases of Umi brand whole grain yakisoba noodles that we'll be preparing for like an Asian type dish at lunches. And then, let's see, 2 more things. Estacada Middle School lead cook, Anne-Marie, launched a student survey on her own, reflecting her PDSA. She wanted to know what the kids wanted for lunch. She got over 200 responses. Wow. I think that was amazing. She, on her own, collaborated with Crystal Juker, which in her classrooms, she produced she gave the kids the Google survey, and then we took those results. But of course, their favorites are pizza and sandwiches at lunch and smoothies and donuts for breakfast. But at least we know what they want, even if it's whole grain. And then the Clackamas River lead cook gained a ton of attention from Tyson Foods while promoting the chicken drumstick lunch for the students in a chicken costume. How this happened is when we posted it on our Facebook page, the little video that they had done, we had tagged Tyson Foods in that, and then they reached out to me. So we're going to be doing a testing at the high school level in June, and whatever that reflects, I'm hoping to put on the menu for next school year. Something new, exciting,
Really cool.
meets USDA guidelines. And that's about it. Did I talk too fast? I did. Any
I've got a
questions or
question.
comments? Yes.
Why do we need a satellite phone?
Great question. Thank you for asking. I was
You're
going to
welcome.
finish that in my superintendent report. So as many of you may remember, during basketball season, we had a bus breakdown in between the Warm Springs reservation and coming home due to a wreck that had occurred. And where our kids were at that time was out of cell phone service. And the kids the bus ended up having to go back to Madras and then cut back over through like Maupin and that area down there. And we didn't know at the moment where the bus was. We had heard there was a wreck, but we didn't know if we were in the wreck or not. And we had no ability for the school bus to communicate with anybody. And because, you know, most parents have a phone of like, where's my child? Well, no one could see where their child was either because it was in kind of that dead zone. And it was really from that spot we decided, you know what, anytime we take a trip over the mountain or anytime we take a trip where we're going to be in and out of cell phone service, we want our buses to be equipped with a satellite phone just in any event that we need to call out for emergency purposes. And then the secondary reason is we purchased 3, 2 of which will be in the transportation department for the buses. We also have one at the district office, and one of the things that we also have realized when we tabletop some of our crisis response is that when we ever, in the event that we were ever have to do a parent reunification, where all the parents have to come and pick up their kids either at one of our locations or at our emergency location, with the influx of all of these parents coming, it just destroys the cell phone towers in terms of the ability to do that. And so we wanted to make sure we just had one on hand, that if the cell phone towers were inundated, we still had the ability to work with emergency services.
I figured it had something to do with the buses, but
Yep,
thank you.
yep.
Okay. Other questions? All right, Lori, great job. Thank you.
Okay, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right, next up is Finance and Accountability Report from Tanner Simmons.
Good evening again. You all should have the memorandum for the finances for the month of April 2025. Excuse me. Just some key highlights. In the month of April, we brought in about 2.8 million in revenues and a year-to-date total of 45.48 million. And then for expenditures, we had $3.3 million worth of expenditures in the month of April and 33.7 million year-to-date. So that's everything from July to April 30th, 2025. On the screen, down at the bottom, it is showing that we are projecting about $6.2 million in ending fund balance. That is as of April 30th. There have been some updates to it, which we spoke about in the budget committee meeting, and why we are projecting a $6.4 million ending fund balance. Some breakdowns right now for instruction. We are looking to go over just about $400,000. We were able to reconcile with the Summit Learning Charter regarding the state school fund payments and decrease the encumbrances, what we owe to them for the remainder of the school year after we reconciled. We were able to reconcile some of those payments back to February, and we're working on reconciling for the remainder of that school year from July to January. For capital projects, for the month, we brought in just under $5,000 and paid out about $137,000. A majority of that was for the seismic rehabilitation project at the EHS. Enrollment, we overall, in the Estacada School District, we see, oh my goodness, excuse me. For the month of April, we saw a decrease of about 6 students, but 32 increase since last year. And at Summit, we saw a decrease of 9 students, but a 105 student increase from last year. So from the prior year, we are seeing about 137 student increase.
Do we have, I'm sure we have early numbers for kindergarten registration. What are we
Yep,
anticipating?
I've got that in my report. We're expecting 80 kindergartners at River Mill Elementary School and 40 kindergartners at Clackamas River,
Oh, okay.
which exasperates the right word, exasperates the enrollment discrepancy that we're continuing to see.
Yeah.
Just because we're on that, is that doubling what the pre-register is?
Correct, yep,
Yeah.
that's our non-scientific, scientific
Yeah, yeah,
method.
gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And then for April, after we reconciled our payments to Summit Learning Charter, we recognized about we kept about $111,000 in the SD school fund payment to them. Any questions? I kind of sped through that.
Have any questions? Any questions for Tanner?
None for me.
I will also state that we have, at the end of April, we engaged with Clear Trail CPAs to start our interim audit. We are about 3 weeks in now, and we're just about finished. There's a couple things that we're cleaning up preliminarily from my communications with them. We're going from about 10 comments in last year's interim audit to about 2 this year.
Awesome.
So,
That's great.
and that's not findings, that's strictly comments. So as we get closer, we'll find that final number, but we're seeing a decline in those comments.
Awesome.
And then we've also slowed down purchasing throughout the district as we gear up to start the next fiscal year. So as that continues, we've encouraged school districts, the school buildings and the departments to start going over their purchasing, what they have open, start closing things down, so that way we can get a much clearer understanding of where we're gonna start off for next year. So as we continue to June 30th, the picture will become clearer. But we're confident with where we're sitting, so.
Awesome. And I do have an ask too, because everybody should have got an email from Clear Trail as a board member. So if you haven't responded to that with the information they asked, please do that. Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Is there anything not discussed or shown in the financial report that we need to be aware of, Tanner?
No.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to superintendent's report.
All right, thank you, board, and appreciate the opportunity. I first want to just honestly extend a sincere thank you to all of you, executive directors, just for your visibility in the community. As you listen to the board reports today, is just an exemplar of really being out there in community, engaging the community, listening to the community, and just being there for some of the more relevant events that are happening in Estacada and Eagle Creek and the beyond areas. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. That's really good work, and that's just a great representation of our school district as well. So well done. We are halfway through our May break, and this is always a great opportunity for me to remind our community about what May break is and why we do it. Obviously, this has been a great restful time for kids, as well as our hardworking employees and staff. But I know that there are, because it's so innovative, and we're the only school district really in Oregon who conducts a May break, I think it's important to always remind our community why. And so about 2 years ago, our school district really looked at the data to determine when our school district and our systems were the most fatigued. For those of people who are unaware with the school calendar cycle, really from spring break to the end of the school year is the longest uninterrupted time where they're serving and supporting schools and students. And what we saw during this specific week, the second week of May, is when we saw the highest fatigue, the highest burnout level, as well as just people really considering career options when it came to this part of the school year that led to increased employee absences. And one of the things that we always want to promise our community is that we're going to be able to guarantee that the most qualified, most talented person is going to be in front of them as much as possible. So looking at student attendance and looking at employee attendance, we deemed this to be the right spot to just rest our system so that we can ensure and guarantee to our parents and community that we would finish the school year as strong as we started it. And that's the number one priority and emphasis behind the May break. I also want to clearly articulate that this May break does not reduce school time or school hours. We added an additional week at the beginning of the school year in order to compensate for this time. So we are still over the minimum requirements for student seat time hours, and everyone's child is getting the same seat time as any other school district in the state of Oregon. We're just choosing to do so in an innovative fashion. And that's the why behind May Break, and it's been wildly successful amongst our community, our parents, and our employees. I also want to just remind the board and update the board that effective this week, our $2.4 million seismic grant project is now underway. And the reason why that's impactful, and I just wanted to make sure the board is fully briefed on that, is because our high school main gymnasium is going to be closed really until through the summer to the first week of school. It's a very tight timeline, but good things are already started and they are on time as they start this project. So I just wanted to remind everybody that the gym's closed in case you hear that out in the community. You're able to explain why and how we're paying for it, which is 100% grant funded. This is not coming out of the general fund whatsoever. We are about halfway, I would say, maybe slightly over, in our contract negotiations with the teachers union. I do believe that things are moving along productively. It's been a very cordial, fruitful, and productive conversation. The school district has been listening to the needs and wants of our elected official, or our association. And at the same time, we've been working really hard to make sure that we're offering the best services to our students, our parents, and our community as well, while still remaining extremely fiscally responsible. And the conversations have been very productive, and I look forward to finishing those hopefully prior to the departure of summer, but it may go into the summer or beyond. But things are, I'm pleased at least with the conversations that are occurring thus far, and thank both sides of the table for just great dialogue and conversations. The board tonight is going to be faced with a very difficult and big decision, which really determines the next 3 to 5 years of our school district, and that's as we address growth and capacity, as well as just some other challenges that we're experiencing being a growing community. I just want to thank the school board of directors for their ability to listen and reach out to our community, to listen to the pros and cons of all options that are on the table tonight, as well as I want to commend our communications department, Jennifer Berman, and the reconfiguration committee, who spent multiple nights looking at data and research and what they think is best that aligns with the mission, vision, and values of our school district, ultimately trying to put the best options on the table for the board to consider and make a decision at this evening. There has been a robust communication campaign that has gone out to both parents, to students, including our internal employees as well. And so many people have had the opportunity to share their concerns, share their support, and ask their questions. We've been on multifaceted social media platforms, as well as just the different ways that we communicate with people I am very proud of how we have communicated this big decision externally, and I'm also proud of how we've communicated this internally. I've had the opportunity to speak to now 4 out of 7 departments, and that includes schools internally as well, to not only talk about what the board's responsibility is inside of this decision, but then what our responsibility will become once the board makes a decision. The board gets to determine what we're doing, and it's our responsibility to determine how we're going to execute that. And those are 2 very important roles. And as we continue to offer high expectations and a great experience to our community and our students, my intention is to not lower any bars in order for us to execute whatever the board decides tonight. I also want to talk about the kindergarten enrollment, which Vice Chair Rydell alluded to. And again, the reason why we're even contemplating reconfiguration this evening is because Rivermill Elementary School, if you count the pre-kindergarten kids, has more children than Estacada High School currently. It's not a sustainable process. And all of our schools are pretty much at capacity. We asked our community to invest through a construction bond in order to help us with growth and capacity, as well as update and modernize our facilities, allowing kids to have a competitive experience like other school districts. Unfortunately, we fell short in that, but the problems that we were trying to communicate have not gone away. In fact, they've only gotten worse in an exponential fashion. And so what we're proposing to the board this evening really aligns with what we asked our community last spring, and that was to combine the 7th through 12th graders, and then a version of how we break out the schools and the different options. But in all options, we are asking for 7th and 8th graders to come and occupy Estacada High School, because this is the only building that has capacity or room left to handle children. After that, they're learning from the base of an oak tree. That's literally all we have. And so we are looking to execute what the bond proposed, just without a bond, which is going to be extremely challenging for us. I think Jennifer Berman and myself would also like to echo that no option on this table is perfect. In fact, all of them are bad and all of them are good, but more bad than they are good. We also want to just acknowledge that this is probably a 3-year fix or a 5-year fix. At some point, we still run out of room. But in the meantime, this is the best option for the cards that we've been dealt right now. And I strongly support the recommendation that's been brought to the board this evening. I want to thank Director Berman for participating with me also in Season 1, Episode 1 of the podcast. It was a ton of fun, and the response and feedback from our community has been extremely positive. So the district looks forward to continuing this podcast endeavor. Again, as one of our budget committee members recognized earlier in a meeting prior to this, trying to find multifaceted ways to reach our community. And the podcast has become, since the presidential election, one of the most popular ways for people to get their news. And so I'm very proud to be innovative in a way to try to spread information, accurate and transparent information about our school district through this podcast platform. And it has been successful thus far. 2 other pieces that I just want to clarify. Vice Chair Rydell recognized a student, an art student, whose art is being displayed in Washington, D.C. It's actually a really neat story. Janelle Bynum was just elected representing our community and Happy Valley, Clackamas area. And she ran a very large and robust art contest. And she said she was going to pick her favorite one, which was going to be displayed in her office in Washington, D.C. And one of our students entered theirs and won it straight up. And so I just think it's really neat to see an art piece from a student from Estacada High School being represented in the Capitol building at Washington, D.C. That really is quite special. Lori Dyson, our Great Nutrition Services Director and new director, who's doing a fantastic job. In her report, she talked about a donation of 547 Chromebooks to the Estacada School District. The story behind that, just a little bit, is the North Clackamas School District bought during COVID about 1 million Chromebooks, and there was about 600 laying on the shelf that had been unused. And so they asked if anybody wanted it, and we said, heck yeah, we want it. And so we were very lucky to get 547 brand new, never used Chromebooks. And when we think about the technology replacement funds and those things, this is just a tremendous gift from our friends at the North Clackamas School District. But I also want to point this out because we have so many community members who wish we did everything on duct tape because it's cheap. And so here's an example for that specific person, often who criticizes us about spending money. We just got 547 free Chromebooks. Please remember that the next time you criticize us about purchases. Also, 250 chairs were also presented in that as well. The Salem-Keizer School District, their community was fortunate enough to pass a bond. They have 250 extra desks and chairs that they don't need. And so we drove down there and picked them up. And so our students are going to get free hand-me-downs from the Salem-Keizer School District. Another example of us being frugal with taxpayer money and trying to find a way to make great things happen for our kids, even though we're unwilling to invest in that ourselves. Lastly, we wanted to just point out the shot put pad that Lori talked about. This is another example of fiscal responsibility. We've been generous enough to allow the Damascus Christian track team to practice every single day on our track as well. We charged them this year $5,000 to run those practices for facilities rentals, and so we used that $5,000 to enhance our track facilities. And so again, I just wanted to be clear that that was not any ounce of taxpayer dollars used. That was us being fruitful with the revenue we generated from using our facilities. And then last but not least, I just wanted to state Tanner mentioned Clear Trails. If you remember, there was a fun divorce that occurred between Polly Rogers, thank you. One became Paul and the other became Rogers. And we chose Clear Trails. And I say that just for joking purposes, but Clear Trails was our auditor that we stuck with in that division. But one of the things that Chair Wheeler and others among the group is always asked is, when is a good time to just, to audit our auditors, to make sure that we have a fresh perspective. And I do believe that that time is now. And so I have asked Tanner prior to his departure to do an RFP to just see what else is out there and let the board make the best decision of what's the right fit for us. If we stick with Clear Trails, that's great. But I do just want to see if there's any other opportunities out there for us. And Scott, who is in the audience today, Scott Pillar is going to be our new CFO effective July 1st. I'd also like him to weigh in on that, as he has a lot of experience in this world, and maybe there's a good auditor too that he may like or choose as well, and I'd like his voice in that process just the same. But it's always important to freshen that up every once in a while, and I do believe this is a great time for us to at least look into it at minimum. Mm-hmm. That is your superintendent's report.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent Carpenter. Any questions? All right. Moving on to item F, reports and presentations, and we have one for school growth and capacity, as previously mentioned, with Jennifer Berman. Come on down.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm back. I didn't think you had enough of me last month, so
We did, but it's
will.
okay.
Come back again. I'm just here to do a recap since we've had a month now for you to take the information we presented last month, get out there in the community. We've also done that, and I'll tell you about what we did, and go to a vote tonight. So just to recap again, we did have a growth and capacity committee to address the issue we are facing in our buildings of limited space as we continue to grow. That committee did a great job of representing different areas and looking at the data and looking at the capacity of each of our buildings, looking at all the different things that we needed to consider before making a recommendation to the board. And with that, we looked at all the different options. We had a status quo, what would happen if we stayed the same? What would happen if we just changed our elementary school boundaries? What does reconfiguration look like as we create different school setups? Closing Summit Learning Charter and opening up Eagle Creek Elementary again, and then moving all students similar to our school bond proposal. So we looked at the data and the stats on all of that. The group came together and voted quickly with some of the first information they had just to see where we were at, to see if there was things we could take off the board. Then we met again a few other times after they went back to their community members and got feedback. And then we came up with our final recommendation. The number one reconfiguration is a K2 school, a 3-4 school, a 5-6 school, 7th and 8th grade moving to the high school, and then 9-12 on the other wing of the building. Our second choice and option that we're also giving is that we have 2 K4 schools, a 5-6 school, and that same reconfiguration of a 7-8 and a 9-12 in the high school that could possibly also require a boundary change. So with that, in the last month since we have put this before you, we've done some Facebook Live outreaches to get feedback from people. We've sent out parent square messaging. We've discussed it in some of our Spanish-speaking family nights, and it's also been on our webpage and all those things. We did have 15 people submit questions and comments, and I will say a few of those were very positive as a thank you for us, knowing this is a tricky situation that we wish we weren't in, and it doesn't solve our problems, but they appreciated us being thoughtful in the process. And I would say the biggest theme from all of it is let's go out for a bond again, because they know that's actually what would have helped solve this problem. And then also just wanting more detail around the consideration of start and stop times, logistic type pieces like that, that we were able to answer to the best of our ability until we get a final decision from the board and then move forward with how we will reconfigure our schools. So that's a quick recap, and I just wanted to be available if you had any questions or comments before you make your decision.
Questions? I know we had a lot more detail last month, so I appreciate the recap and then some of the stats from afterwards. I just don't want anybody watching to think that this is the only time we've talked about it. So if you missed last month, so, but any additional questions for Jennifer? Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it. All right, so on to item G, which is discussion is none. A hearing of citizens for action items only. On to action items, item I, the consent agenda includes a package of one or more items to be voted on as a unit. However, if any board member is not in favor of one or more agenda items and prefers to take separate action, a request to the chair or vice chair anytime prior to the vote, we'll remove that item for a separate vote. So can I get a motion on the consent agenda?
Vice Chair Rydell, I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Okay,
Second.
moved and second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Thank you. On to item J for the Director of Finance contract.
Vice Chair Rydell, I move to approve the Director of Finance contract for 2025 through 28.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion that we want to have on that?
No, I mean, just really quickly, we feel like hiring Scott Pillar was just a major addition for us. Obviously, this is a very unique position to fill. In my time looking for these over the last 7 years, it's been a difficult challenge to find a highly qualified one, and our ability to reach out with Scott and to really steal a great person. I mean, I see this as hiring a high-valued free agent to help us really take us to the next level. And so I'm just really excited about it, and I thank the board for considering this contract proposal.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Okay, next up is the school reconfiguration.
Vice Chair Rydell, I move to approve option 1 for the school reconfiguration to begin in 2026-27 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we should probably talk a little bit. So I'll kick it off a little bit again, just to make sure. Option 1 was the top option from the committee, and it was also option 1 that was just presented in the deck. But option 1 will create, again, right now, we've got 4 buildings. So one of those buildings would be K2, one of those buildings would be 3-4, another one would be 5-6, and this one would be 7-12. And so I want to thank the committee and everybody that was involved in all of the work. This was not a snap decision. This was not one that came too easily. And I applaud the district and the community for the level of participation that came into it. And I want to reiterate that it's a capacity issue. And so, number 1 for me, it's not a long-term fix. Hopefully, we can get 5 years out of it. But none of those other options are long-term fixes, right? So this is the only building that has capacity, and it makes sense. And just to take another step further, I know that some of those questions that came up was, how do we set the school up so that you don't have 7th graders walking the halls with 12th graders? And we're aware of that, and there's plans, and I don't think we're gonna go into it tonight, because we still have to look at what it's gonna look like. But we're well aware of that as far as entrances and bell schedules and lunch schedules and breakfast, and those are conversations that are already being had, and I look forward to finalizing those as we start to look at what the real, not the reconfiguration of the district, but the reconfiguration of this building, so that we can accomplish what we want to there. And I will say for myself, option 2, which I think again was an inventive option. My challenge with that option 2 is it does not address the growth in certain areas within the community, and so we would still have to do a boundary shift. And so with the K2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's no boundaries that need to be traded or changed, and I think that makes sense as well. And it does create that certain flow. The last one that I really appreciate about that is that means you have all of the K2 teachers in one building. So when they do their professional development every week, they're all there in the same building. Same thing with 3-4, same thing with 5-6. And I think that from what the data shows and the performance of the district shows as our PLCs work, they're very important. And so anything that we do that can make that easier and more effective, and solve another problem, I think that makes perfect sense. So that's my long-winded discussion.
I'll add to that, I agree that with this space issue or not, getting these groups of educators out of silos and physically working together right down the hall, it's only gonna improve the product essentially. The idea we're trying to get the same result out of 2 different factories is a reach. So consolidating, getting them working together is great. And also, this option 1, the improvements required are included in the budget that's coming in front of us next meeting. Both versions had some funding piece that was earmarked to get some of this work done.
Yeah, good point.
The thing I've got to say is, this is a Band-Aid. This is not something that I don't think any of us really wanted to do, but we have to do it. And the reason behind it is because the bond didn't pass. Now, maybe it wasn't the best bond in the world, but we need more money for making these things good for the kids. And we've got nobody to blame but ourselves. That's the community when I say ourselves. It's not just the board, it's not just the people that work here. And there's gonna be a lot of people that are not gonna enjoy this, they're not gonna like it, but like I said, it's a Band-Aid. And we've gotta think for future, what are we gonna do? And right now, this is gonna hold us for 2, 3, 4 years, maybe 5 if we're real lucky. But we're gonna have to meet up to a bond, we're gonna have to face up to it, probably sooner than later.
Well said.
That's my 2 cents.
Well said, thank you.
I was gonna add, but geez.
Tough to follow
Making
that.
it easy on you.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if I could just quickly state too, the thing that I appreciate about the board and the decision to make this May of 2025 is this gives us 14 months to plan and get ready for this. And so, you know, as Director Johnson talked about the 7th and 8th graders and the safety of really trying to separate that, this gives us 14 months to figure that out and to make sure that all students are being welcomed and are safe, and that all of our operations and logistics are ready to serve, including transportation and all of the things that support that as well. I also think it's important also to note that inside those 14 months, the school district, you can expect best-in-class communication and updates on the process. And so even though the board is making a decision now, it's not like 14 months from now, we're going to be like, okay, hey, here's what the plan is. Like through this entire process, we're going to continue to collect community voice. And now we're going to deeply engage our employees as well to play a role in the execution of how this gets rolled out. And we will frequently check back with updates through this process. And so we want to be open, transparent, and do what's best for our kids and our community and our employees. And so that's a commitment I also make this evening post this decision.
Thanks, Ryan. And two more things that I want to add, and we're not at this point where we can say this is exactly what it's going to look like, but it is really important to know that we understand that keeping the 7th and 8th graders portion of the school separate as much as possible is important, and so we have a plan to accomplish that. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet, with a separate entrance, separate bathrooms, and so there are ways that we can accomplish that. The one other thing I would add is we currently have kids from the middle school coming over to the high school for some classes and gyms and stuff, so this is not like it's the first time these groups are ever crossing paths or in the same building.
Yeah.
But we're well aware of the concerns with that. Some of us share those same concerns, and so it is something that is a huge part of the plan. And if you want to talk more, feel free to give me a call. I'll be happy to talk to you. But just know that we are looking at it, and it is a big part of what we're trying to accomplish here, and will accomplish, frankly. So, all right. Any other discussion on that?
Oh, did any other board members?
Yes, because we are down 3. So I did talk to the other members, and while they're not here and they can't vote, but there were no dissenting remarks or concerns other than the ones that we all share, like this isn't our favorite idea, but
Yeah.
they were all in favor of this option as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Moved and seconded and discussed. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Next up is item L for hearing of citizens' non-action items.
None.
That item M, adjournment. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks for joining on the Ether World.